All right, y'all. Let's talk about a very popular product that's sold to everyone. And you got a lot of mixed reviews on it. And some of it is coming from some of your professionals out there, the professional lawn care people, especially one on these Facebook websites like Bermuda Lawn uh, Dominators and stuff like that. This is a weed and feed. And so obviously, as the name states, it's a weed and feed. This is a product that is feeding the lawn and killing the weeds at the same time. So it has both an herbicide in it and it has nitrogen in it. But anyway, let's talk about it. So I hear a lot of people, especially the pros who've been doing a lawn for a long time, to say to stay away from this stuff because it doesn't work and it's snake oil or it's a marketing scam or whatever types of descriptions they have for weed and feed. So let me give you the science, and after this video you'll be up on exactly what's good and what's bad about this product. So first of all, we're going to start with the nitrogen that's inside this product. It's 15% urea. Urea is just a nitrogen product that's a synthetic nitrogen product, and it is the most widely used, cheapest available nitrogen out there for the lawn. And the main active ingredient in here is 2,4-D, which is a very popular, widely used weed killer. So let's start with the good. The good thing about this weed and feed is exactly that. You can kill two birds with one stone. You can kill grass, you can kill weeds, and fertilize your lawn with nitrogen to get it to grow, and that works. And another thing about the weed and feed that makes it off the chain is there's a certain mode of action that's within herbicides that kills it. So a mode of action is basically how does it kill the host or kill the plant. You know how you can unalive a person by shooting them, stabbing them, drowning them, suffocating, different things like that. That is a mode of action on how does the product kill the weed. So when you talk about how these products kill the weed, the majority of the products out there, and more particularly this 2,4-D, what it does, it actually grows the plant to death. Think about how if you took a balloon and you aired up a balloon and kept blowing, and the balloon eventually pops because there's too much air in there. That's the equivalent of basically what's happening to a plant. It is growing itself to death. It's going to pop and it's going to die. So why did I tell you that? Well, if you take the fertilizer that's inside the urea or the nitrogen that's inside a weed and feed, what it does, the nitrogen makes the weed grow faster, and the weed killer that's inside it is making it die because it's growing itself to death. So when you add those two components together, it makes for a very powerful weed killer because you are telling the plant or making a plant grow faster, and you have a chemical that makes the plant grow to kill itself, so you get an exponential effect on it. So weed and feed is actually very, very good. As a matter of fact, professionals who actually know about the mechanics of this stuff, they actually mix fertilizer with products like this atrazine or 2,4-D, dicamba, all those weed killers. They mix them together to get that extra boost. So weed killers is actually enhanced by fertilizers. So I'm going to tell you why they say that. Number one, when you The chemical for the fertilizer and the weed and feed, the chemical needs to spread along the weed. The weed needs to be coated with the chemical in order for it to work. For example, those weeds that you see out there, when I come out there and I spray those weeds, that need to be sprayed, and the weed needs to be covered with the dicamba, because the way it works, it doesn't kill the weeds from the roots up. It kills the weed from the plant down. It goes in, absorbed through the plant, and it goes down and it sends all the weed all the way down to the roots, and it kill the root and all. But if the product was starting from the ground at the roots inside the ground, it doesn't uptake it. The plant doesn't uptake it. Once it gets to the soil, it doesn't do anything. The plant is not going to be affected by it. That's why it has to be on the plant. So what's so bad about this? So most of the weed feed, most people are taking it in a granular form and they are spreading it out. They're using something like this Scotch spreader. They're putting the product inside this and they're spreading. And the problem is this: if you read the instructions, they say they want you to spray this in the early mornings when there's dew on the ground, or they want you to wet the lawn and then put the product out. The reason why is because they're wanting the product to stick to the leaf blades of the weeds. So basically, if you come out here and your grass is dry as a bone and you put out some of this granular weed and feed and it doesn't stick to the leaf blades, it goes down to the ground, well, then you're basically not going to get any effect out of it. And on the flip side, if you go and follow the direction, put it out early in the morning, during while the grass is wet with dew, or you water it and you spread it, then the problem that you're going to come into is your spread. This is going to be in front of you, and while you are pushing it, you're going to be stepping into all the weed and feed that you have been pushing, and it's going to be all on your shoes, and it's going to be all over your wheels, and you're going to track it everywhere. It's going to be messy because that stuff is like a powdery, so it's your wheels are going to be all muddy. It's just a hot mess. Let alone, if say for instance you do go by a weed and you step on a weed after you have spread it, the fertilizer and the weed and feed on top of it, well, a lot of that is going to come off on your shoe, so you're not going to get a lot of coverage because you stepped on it and took the very thing that you want to kill it off. So the proper application of this stuff is very messy and tedious, and it's just not the best way of installing or putting out the fertilizer. It's not the best way. And that right there alone is why people say, or your famous personalities in the lawn and garden industry say to stay away from it, because the way you have to put it out is just not very effective, and it's messy, and most people are not following the directions anyway. So a lot of people don't have great success with a weed and feed. And notice I've been talking about the granular form. But if you switch over to a liquid form of weed and feed, now the ball game has changed. Because the pros know that you can mix a liquid weed and feed along with a surfactant to make it stick. And that is where it's going to shine. And this is how you can make the store-bought weed and feed, or the store-bought spray liquid, the kind that you put inside a bottle or hook a hot water hose up to. That's how you can make that product work, by adding some dishwashing liquid, like some Dawn dishwashing liquid, or a surfactant to it. Because pros, they add a fertilizer with a weed killer and surfactant all the time. They do that all the time. They use a weed and feed all the time, because it is a powerful way to kill the grass fast and it allows you to use less product because you're using a surfactant and you're using a stimulant like the nitrogen, and you use a weed killer. Therefore, you can use even less herbicides. So weed and feed is the bomb. It is absolutely the best way to get rid of a lot of those weeds.